Hello students, this is the lecture on Chapter 2 from your Histology and Embryology textbook. The structure and function of cells, tissues, and organs. First, let's go over some basic definitions. A cell is the smallest structural and functional unit of an organism. It is typically microscopic and consists of cytoplasm, a nucleus, and is enclosed in a membrane. A tissue is an ensemble of similar cells from the same origin that together carry out a specific function. Organs are then formed by the functional grouping of multiple tissues. The four types of tissues we will be studying are epithelial, neural, connective, and muscle. Epithelial tissue has the capability of cell renewal by mitosis of the basal cells. The rate of renewal is dependent on the location of the epithelium in the body. Epithelial cells are classified by cell type, cell shape, cell modifications, characteristics, and location. The diagram shown above shows labeled A is simple squamous epithelium, B, cuboidal epithelium, C, simple columnar epithelium, D, pseudostratified epithelium, and E, stratified epithelium. This is stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelium from the oral cavity. The darker stained cells are the basal cells which divide to form the more superficial layers. As the cells develop in the basal layer, they gradually migrate to the surface and then they are lost by attrition. This is stratified squamous keratinized epithelium. This epithelium is distinctive in that its surface layers are dead and non-nucleated, and the cell contents are filled with keratin, as you see here. Neural tissue arises from neuroepithelial cells. Neuroepithelial cells are highly organized areas for reception and correlation. Two types of these cells are neurons and neuroglial cells. Neurons are nerve cells that receive and conduct impulses and regulate muscle and glandular activity. Neuroglial cells are the supporting cells of the nervous system. Neuroglia means nerve glue. These are nerve cells of a ganglion, which are composed of neuronal cell bodies with singular nucleoli. Sensory ganglia are accumulations of cell bodies outside the central nervous system. Some ganglia are associated with the cranial nerves, which include the trigeminal, the facial, the glossopharyngeal, and hypoglossal cranial nerves, which we will be studying later in this course. This is an example of a nerve cell. The dendrites usually receive the impulses and conduct these impulses to the cell body. The cell body, or perikaryon, contains the nucleus and cytoplasm of the nerve cell. The axon is a long, thin, singular process that varies in length from a few millimeters to several feet or more, which conducts nerve impulses away from the nerve cell body. The impulses terminate by branching into axon terminals or synaptic terminals. Most axons outside the central nervous system are protected and insulated by a myelin sheath. Neuroglial cells support and surround the nerve cell. Some neuroglial cells are phagocytic. Connective tissue are composed of few cells and large amounts of intercellular substance. Loose or areolar connective tissue is composed of loosely woven collagen and elastic fibers, as you see on the image on the left. The fibers and other components of the connective tissue matrix are secreted by fibroblasts. Dense or fibrous connective tissue consists of strands of collagen fibers lined up in a parallel arrangement. This helps the tissue resist tension that occurs from all directions. Cartilage is also a connective tissue. Cartilage consists of a matrix with cells called chondrocytes embedded in it. The chondrocytes exist in cavities in the matrix called lacunae. Hyaline cartilage is the most common type. It is present in the nose, the tracheal rings, the larynx, etc. Elastic cartilage has abundant elastic fibers in its matrix. It functions in the epiglottis, among other locations. Fibrous cartilage is located in the vertebral discs, intervertebral areas, the insertion of some tendons, etc. Bone is calcified connective tissue. It is responsive to stress and strain. Two types of bone are the compact, also known as dense or cortical bone, and cancellous, also known as spongy or trabecular bone. Blood is also considered connective tissue. It conducts oxygen to the cells, returns carbon dioxide from the cells to the lungs, clots to prevent blood loss, regulates pH through a buffering system, regulates body temperature, and provides protection from bacteria through its phagocytic and antigenic properties. Blood consists of erythrocytes or red blood cells, leukocytes or white blood cells, and platelets. In blood, polymorphonuclear leukocytes, or PMNs, are the most abundant. Neutrophils can squeeze through capillary walls and into infected tissue where they kill foreign invaders. Monocytes leave the blood and become macrophages. Eosinophils accumulate wherever allergic reactions take place. Their natural role is in the defense of parasites and other microorganisms. Basophils can digest microorganisms and are responsible for allergy symptoms. Lymphocytes become functional in the bone marrow and are responsible for the humorally activated immune system. They circulate in the lymphatic vessels and in the bloodstream. They function wherever they are called on by the antigen actions. The basis of motion in a muscle cell is the change from chemical to mechanical energy by the enzymatic cleavage of ATP. The cleavage results from the action of two proteins, actin and myosin. There are three types of muscles: skeletal or voluntary, smooth or involuntary, and cardiac. Cross striations are seen as alternating light and dark bands indicating fiber contraction sites. Each fiber contains a number of nuclei on the periphery. Skeletal muscle fibers are found in the arms, legs, and body wall. They provide for body posture, locomotion, and arm movement. They are voluntary. Smooth muscle fibers are spindle-shaped with a large longitudinal nucleus in the center of the fiber. Small amounts of connective tissue surround the fibers. This smooth muscle of the alimentary canal assists with digestion and movement of food through the alimentary tract. It is controlled involuntarily. Cardiac muscle fibers appear striated and are similar to skeletal muscle fibers, except that some of the fibers branch. The nuclei of these fibers are located centrally. The involuntary cardiac muscle pumps blood through some 50,000 miles of blood vessels. Organ systems are functionally integrated and specifically designed to perform designated functions. You have already studied these systems in your prerequisite courses and may review them in your course textbook, but we will not be going into detail about them here. This concludes this lecture on Chapter 2, Head and Neck Histology and Embryology.